Hey there. So if you love using Instagram to grow your business for all of the reasons that you can do everything on Instagram. You can put regular posts, you can share stories, now you can share reels, you can DM people. You can do everything on Instagram. But that's also what makes it overwhelming, isn't it? So if you've been looking for a super smart strategy for how to grow on Instagram, how to grow your followers, how to make more content, and how to make the content creation process simpler, quicker, easier, all the better things, then today's episode is for you. Let's jump in. Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneur Show with Adrienne Hill, a place for online business industry expertise and thought leadership, where you can build the skills, structure, and systems you need to thrive in business and have a lasting impact in your industry. Let's do this. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Social Media Sales Summit. Today, I'm here with Danielle Welch. She's the owner of Bridge Consulting and Design, which is a marketing and coaching company for small businesses and online entrepreneurs just like you. She founded the company in 2018 after 5 years as a marketing sales consultant for two nationally recognized digital marketing agencies in Kansas City. When starting Bridge, Danielle knew she wanted to educate and empower small businesses and online entrepreneurs to not only know how to turn their social media marketing and run it, but also the why behind it all, right? She's a proud female entrepreneur in the online space, and she's most proud of her roles as a wife and mom. We are so blessed to have her here with us today, and we're going to dig into all the details about using Instagram specifically for your business and the ins and outs of how to make the most of this platform and how to shortcut your learning curve. So welcome, Danielle.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be here. Thank you, Adrienne. This is so exciting. Can't wait to dive in. So much to talk about with Instagram. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. And every platform is so unique and different. And as we've gone through all of these interviews and trainings, I'm starting to even the differences I knew, there's more than what I even was aware of. And so I'm just eating this up.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So before we jump into the Instagram specific content, some of the audience may not have met you yet. So could you tell us just a little bit about you and your entrepreneurial journey and what brought you into the realm of Instagram?
Yeah. So like you mentioned with my intro, I got my start in the industry. It's been 7 years now. So in 2014 is when I stepped into the marketing and advertising world. I worked for two agencies, nationally recognized. I was on the front line of their marketing consultant team. So fancy term for call center rep, honestly. I would field inbound calls, or we did a lot of outbound calls to small businesses that had been advertising in their local phone books. And my job was to educate and transition them to more digital stuff. Because if you can think about it, in just the last decade, there's still businesses who aren't online. Is that not shocking? Just to think about it.
But also think about how many entrepreneurs, even in this audience, were maybe part online, part offline, and then COVID kind of forced it to go online.
So much.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's so much to talk about there. So in 2014, the company that I was working for, so I don't know if just to take you guys back in social media history, but Facebook really started to embrace business pages around 2011, 2012. That's when they started also doing ads. And, you could actually have a Facebook business page and it would show up everywhere. That was kind of the hook, and they got people in that way. It's way different now. But so I had to educate these local small businesses. And when I say local small, I'm talking towns of 100,000 people or less, usually less. I got my, I guess you could say, I cut my teeth in the industry doing that, and fell in love with those types of business owners. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, so kind of your hometown hero business owners where my heart was at. The major company that I worked for from 2014 to 2018, they went through 2 ownership changes, a couple of bankruptcies, fancy way, restructuring, and everything changed. And I'm pretty passionate about saying, I feel like the big agency route for advertising isn't for the local small business, because every single local small business, like they need a little bit more hands-on attention, you know, and you can't have a one size fits all. So I started to kind of resist the way that the company was doing things. And it was both a mental decision and a heart decision. Like, okay, I've got to really, I didn't like I saw some behind the scenes stuff, and I was just like, I'm checked out. That was what it was. Like, there was a situation where I had a client who, it was her and her husband. They ran a plumbing company in a town of 50,000 people. They'd had the company for 30 some years. She ran the office. He was the tech, and he passed away suddenly. And the company I worked for would not cancel their 12-month contract until she would prove that he had passed away with a death certificate. And if you've ever experienced that, that takes months. And it was like traumatic for me. And I'm 3 years into this job. And I was like, that sealed the deal for me on, they're just a number. And it was
like
only
it didn't align with your morals and values and ethics. And you knew it was time.
Done. It was like, it was a done deal for me. It was like, it was a $99 a month program that they weren't willing to cancel. And this was a multi-billion-dollar agency. So I was like, okay. So it was about 7 months went by. I stopped selling. I nurtured my existing clients. If they chose to cancel, I helped them out the door. For me, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and that's just my belief system. God took care of me through all of that, which is crazy because I stayed on the top of anyways, it was just nuts. I stayed on the top of the rep chart, and it was crazy. But he began to show me, all right, I need to maybe consider doing something myself. There was a desire for that. So in the summer of 2018, I started freelancing website design. It was the only thing that my company didn't offer that wasn't a conflict of interest. So I learned how to build sites on Wix. I learned how to build sites on old Squarespace back in 2018. And I was kind of targeting the local small businesses. And within 3 months, I replaced my full-time income. Then I was in a little bit of a non-compete. So it was about 6 months later, I really started doing social media stuff. But within 9 months of me going from my job to starting Bridge, I replaced my full-time salary, and we had my first $10,000 month as far as revenue goes, which was awesome. It was really, really awesome. But here's the thing. I had just delivered our second daughter. So she was 2 months old when I had that $10,000 a month. I was working 40 to 50 hours a week in my business from home. I was like, okay, this is really great money, but I am losing my mind. And that's when I made the shift, late 2019. I made the shift to, I've got to take this business from how I thought about business, which was trading time for money, to I've got to scale. And I've got to figure out different ways to systemize my business and serve my clients. And that's when I started creating online courses. And I really started getting into not just doing social media service, but teaching it. And so I really got educated on trends, and I would stay up on, okay, what do you need to do here? And I would host workshops, and I created online programs. So now I stay home with my 2 kids. I'm kind of wrapping this journey up here. I stay home. They're 5 and 2. We have a third on the way. So by spring 22, we'll have 3 kiddos at home. I homeschool. I'm able to work 15 hours a week, maintaining a full-time, salary for me. I've got a little team that I work with, and things have changed tremendously. So that's my entrepreneurial journey, and kind of where I came from and where I'm at today.
That's fascinating. So what I love about this story, and for the audience watching, I hope that this inspires you, because you may have noticed in her story, there was these different pivots that had to happen. Yeah. And she had to follow her heart to know that it was time to do it.
Yeah.
Be brave enough to step into doing it. The bravery is almost the hardest part, is it not? Of knowing, I'm going to do this. You feel those butterflies. And then to be a student of constant learning, of every time you saw a gap of this is where I want to be, but this is where I am now. Yeah. You didn't just wait for someone to show up and tell you what to do. You became a master of learning, and you really immersed yourself in learning how to fill that gap, which I think is fascinating. And the great part about that, you guys, as the audience now, we get to learn from all of her expertise and shorten that learning curve for you.
Yes.
So how beautiful is that? So what a fascinating story. Now, how and when did Instagram kind of take a starring role in the strategy that is one of the tools that you started to use, and what made you fall in love with it?
Okay. So for me, it really started to take the spotlight in a lot of what I was teaching and a lot of what I was creating for my clients. So there's two sides of my business. There's the service side, and then there's the coaching side or the consulting side. And it was 2020 where I recognized I'd been teaching Instagram strategies and things like that to local small businesses. Facebook has always kind of been the leader for your local small businesses because the features that they have for business pages, people can search by recommendation, you can keyword search in Facebook. If you're looking for a local plumber or a dentist or something, you could see reviews. So, but Facebook also has made some changes over the last few years due to data privacy, due to they're needing to increase their profit margins to where business pages now, I don't know if people know this, but I was in a Clubhouse chat earlier this year with some of the people who are inside of Facebook. They're employees, they're in some of the management positions. And they were saying, yeah, it's very common that we see Facebook business pages are only organically reaching 5 to 7% of their audience organically. And to increase that, you have to pay. And with boosted
pay
posts,
to play platform, honestly.
Pay to play platform.
And I know that Facebook owns Instagram,
Yep.
but they're still two totally different platforms.
Totally different platforms, and they're continuing to show their differences. Facebook, before we get into Instagram, this is why I started shifting over to more Instagram, because Instagram, I believe you can have a better organic reach. That's why I started focusing on it. Okay. A lot of the clients I worked with, ads aren't exactly in their budget. Their money was limited. And so I had to find, okay, if Facebook isn't the organic platform for them anymore, what is? And it was Instagram. So, but here's the thing. 2020, I think it was the Super Bowl of 2020, before the world went crazy, Facebook ran an ad during the Super Bowl promoting Facebook groups and Facebook community. You can go find it on YouTube. And it would say a group for everybody, a group for people who want to walk their dogs in, I don't know. And then it would have like these interesting, very eclectic like group ideas. And it's like a community for everybody. And why would Facebook pay for a Super Bowl ad, which we know costs millions to promote groups and community, if that wasn't, it was a flagship signal of this is the direction we're going. And what have we seen them do? They've moved the Facebook group icon into the bottom of your app. There's a whole new notification setting group for just community groups. They're wanting to promote more community, less about business pages. I think the future of Facebook community groups is you're going to have to pay for memberships. That's just my opinion. I think that's the direction that they're going to go. Think about it. What did they do? What did they do with Facebook when it was free for businesses and now you have to pay to play, right? So there's been some change. So all of that to say, at the beginning of 2020, and then obviously when the world changed, everything became more about, okay, we can't reach people in person as much anymore, especially as local small businesses. How can we show up for them? And it was all about video. It was video. And this was around the time that Instagram was really trying to compete with TikTok. So Reels really started taking precedent. Just a few months ago, you guys, Instagram announced that they are now a video sharing platform, not a picture sharing platform. So they've recategorized themselves. So for me, it was just my shift to focusing on Instagram for my clients came solely from recognizing, okay, these type of business owners, new online business owners with low budgets, what can they do organically, which might mean more work on the front end, right? More content creation, more hashtag research, more personal outreach. What can they do organically if they don't have the money for ads? And Instagram's the best place for that. So that's why I made that shift and that focus to Instagram.
Yeah. So for those of you watching, this is hugely insightful. If you right now, right, everything either takes time or money. We know that. So right now, if you have more time than you do money and you're looking for organic, free growth strategies, this is where it's at. Yep. So let's dig into the goodness. So if someone is really wanting to get more organic reach, they're wanting more eyeballs on their stuff, what's the first step you would have them take on Instagram? Like if they're just getting started, or maybe they've been on there, but they just haven't really leveraged it to its full potential. Yeah. How would you have them start from the ground up?
From the ground up. Okay. I believe that in order for you to consistently over time. I like the up and to the right trend. I don't like the highs and the lows and the highs and the lows, or let's plateau. I like a progressive trend up. I think everyone would like to see that, like in the revenue charts and everything in their business. So think of your reach, your organic reach in the same regard. That's the vision that you want. I think the ground level that I teach a lot on is you have to be consistently creating content. You've got to consistently being showing up. And if you look at it from like a pyramid standpoint, a pyramid or a house, the foundation, it has to be strong. It has to be wide. It has to be big, right? You don't build a house on a teeny tiny, foundation, and then it's like a tree. It doesn't work like that, You've got to have a wide foundation there. And I think that content creation strategy needs to be something, and consistency in delivering on that content is the foundation to all of it. The reason is because when you add on top of that engagement strategies or hashtag strategies, which we can talk about, none of that matters if you're posting once a week or if you post 7 days this week and nothing the next week. It's all about consistent action. So that is the firm foundation that I teach on. And I spend the most of my time wrestling with people through that, because content creation is also the thing that hangs people up the most. But once I can get people to commit to it and we can have agreement that this is going to serve every other strategy better. And it's like hashtag research. You do it once a month and then have that as a monthly task and use a bucket of 4 or 5 hashtag groups interchangeably. It's not something you have to do every day. It's like, it builds upon and it makes everything else that you do better when you're consistently putting out your own content.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's whether consistency is what you've been struggling with, or another thing that I hear a lot, both within, my own communities that I talk to, and out in the broader world, is people saying, I don't know what to say or how to say it.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And so what advice would you have for them when it comes to creating that foundation of coming up with a solid content strategy for the person who doesn't know what to say or how to say it? What would be your advice to them?
Okay, so I've been asked this question before, and I feel like people don't like my answer because it's not the easy answer. Because wouldn't it be so wonderful if I could just give you this formula? And people do. There's people out there in our industry who are like, this is the step-by-step formula. I mean, I have right here, Social Media Success for Every Brand, the new book by Claire Ortiz, which was forwarded by Donald Miller, okay, which is a 5-step program essentially to turning your post into profit. So there's strategies out there, right, of like what your content should say. Here's the thing. That's important to have the structure, but here's what I always talk about with this answer. First of all, you have to be confident in who you are as a business and what you are serving your audience and your clients with. If you aren't confident in that, or if there is some comparison between, and there's that negative type of comparison between you and other businesses, or I was just on a coaching call with a gal yesterday, and we were working through the reason she hasn't taken action on her content creation is because she's worried about things not sounding perfect. And so we identified this perfectionism trait. And she was like, I'm worried about people judging what I say. And I said, okay, you're making a decision based on this minor possibility that someone might come and blast you for what? I said, but you're missing all this incredible opportunity to reach the people who need your message. And so what you say or how you say it, right? Which is the question you first and foremost, you've got to be confident in who you are. And you should be. You showed up to this summit to invest into yourself. You're learning so much here from me and other speakers, and you have access to so many resources. If you have a coach, which I encourage as an online business owner, you need a coach. That's one of the things that keeps me sane, and also keeps me from rambling, which I do a lot. But you need to have that coach so you can go to them and tell them your insecurities, your worries, so that they can flip the script on that and actually tell you who you are and pull out the greatness in you. If you don't have that confidence in you, you're going to fake it till you make it. And then that's just going to be shallow and your audience isn't going to be able to connect as well. So that's my first thing with that. Like, what do you say and how do you say it? Well, it's got to come from a place of confidence and authenticity, right? I know that's not the answer everyone wants. They want the keys to like, what do I say? And it's like, well, first of all, be you.
Yourself. Like, be confident with yourself. And I love that advice because, yeah, maybe something you say pushes someone away. But if it's pushing them away, they're not your ideal person. It's okay.
Right.
Let them go. Let them go. Let them go.
Let it go.
Because you're going to attract other people who are your perfect people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. And what do we want? Do we want quantity or do we want quality? For me personally, I would rather have high quality. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I have a Facebook group that is high quality. It may not have tens of thousands of people, but it's high quality, high engagement. I know they're my people. They know I'm their person. And I would rather have that than thousands of people who may or may not even know who I am. Right.
Or even
For
care.
me, right. Because with quality, then you can gain quantity. Right. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's super helpful. So what's the next step? Because what I love about Instagram is what I hate about Instagram. Okay. So, let me just kind of put this out there. It's really interesting to me in that it's the only platform out there that offers literally every feature. You have your traditional posts. Of course, you can share videos, pre-recorded or live video. Yep. You can share Instagram TV, right? It has stories, and now it has reels. I mean, it kind of has everything all in one platform, which no other platform has all of those things in one place. So it's nice because they offer all this variety, but it can also be overwhelming because it's like, where should we be spending our time?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I think it's important for you to know who your audience is or who your ideal client is. There are statistics, there's data out there you can find. Even if you just critically think about users and age groups and demographics, certain demographics like certain types of content over others, right? But here's something from a content creation standpoint. I love to teach this strategy of taking a pillar piece of content and breaking it down into micro pieces of content. This is like Gary V 101. I think he's the first person I learned it from. And I love it because you can take a 10-minute Instagram live video. Here's the strategy. I'm going to break it down for you guys because this will allow you to create a piece of content for all of the different features. And it doesn't have to be a huge time suck. Go live on your Instagram, 10, 15 minutes on your phone. Doesn't have to be a huge production. I do a lot of my Instagram lives just walking around my house or in my office or wherever I'm at. If I'm hit with a moment of inspiration, I'm just going to get on and roll. That's how I've become. But 10, 15 minutes, right? Instagram live. Roll on your topic. When you're done, it's going to say, do you want to download this video or do you want to push it to IGTV? You could do both. I download it because I know I'm going to take that video and I'm going to go share it in my Facebook group. Boom. So pillar piece of content is my live video, or it could have been something I pre-recorded. Okay. But live video, pillar piece of content. Download that video. I'm going to put that into my Facebook group immediately, add a caption, and it lives there. But I've got that video downloaded. I'm also going to upload it back to IGTV. So it lives there. It's an evergreen piece of content. It's bingeable content. Bingeable meaning it's short enough and it's on topic to where after they get done watching it, maybe they're on the elliptical at the gym and it's going to automatically feed them another video. That's why podcasts are so great. But boom, pillar piece of content's done. Because I've downloaded that video, I could take that video, I could throw it into an app called InShot on my phone, and I could chop out little 1-minute segments or little 30-minute or 30-second segments and create micro pieces of content that I can put into my feed, upload as a reel, upload as another IGTV video. I could take that video, throw it into a program like TEMI.com and have it transcribed. And then I can pull quotes out and I can make quote graphics. And all to say, my focus was the 10 to 15 minute video. And then I can take that and I can chop that baby down into a bunch of different pieces of content. Put it in my feed, put it in my story, put it in my reels, repurpose it for my IGTV. Ooh, I could even send that to my email list if I wanted to, and pointing them back to my Instagram. So when you just focus on that pillar piece of content, you can hit all the platforms, but it is important to know, where are people spending most of their time? Reels. Most people spend time in reels. So just a tip. Yeah.
Because it's the hot new thing, right? So I love that advice. And I do the exact same thing in my business. So I love that you do that. It doesn't have to be overwhelming that they have all these different features. If you're creating your content smartly, you have plenty to share across all those different pieces.
Absolutely. I get the question too, what if I share the same thing in all the different places? And I said, why is that a problem? I said, Someone said recently, well, I want to share a quote into my reels with some background music, but I also want to share the quote and a static image into my feed. And I said, then put it to the reels, just don't force it to go to your feed. So then you don't have it side by side, same thing back to back. I mean, you have options to play around with. I think more content in more of the spaces is better than not. I always err on the side of more is better. It's the opposite of less is more. No, more is better in this case.
And actually, I get the same question a lot. And I think it's really interesting because there's something really reassuring about the consistency of a message, of them seeing something from you consistently. Seeing something more than once isn't a bad thing. It actually builds trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're
100%.
like, oh, this person's super consistent. They stand for what they stand for. Yeah. Like, yeah, they're not, in left field over here one day and then totally in a different ballpark the next day. Right. Like,
right.
Yeah. So consistency isn't bad.
No.
Yeah.
It's key. I think consistency is the key to your success in all areas of your business, not just social media. If we don't show up I have a weekly coaching call with my coach. If I don't show up for that, I'm not consistent with that, I'm missing something. Or if I don't show up for my clients, or if I'm not posting on a regular basis, or if I'm not email blasting on a regular, like consistency in the gym, right? Like, is it easier to go to the gym and work out when you've been going every day or every other day, or you go once a month and you try to lift the same amount as last month, or try to run the same as last month, you've done nothing in between? No, it hurts really bad if you let time go in between. So consistency is what's going to give you the predictability of your progression in your company. So consistency in all areas is key.
Yeah. So now we have a solid content strategy.
Yep.
We know how to show up across all the different facets of Instagram if we choose to, or whichever ones we choose to show up on.
Yep.
What's the key then to growing your followers and getting actual leads and sales from them?
Instagram has hashtags, which is one of the best ways for your content to be seen organically in front of people that are not already following you. There's a lot of debate around hashtags and what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing with hashtags. Here's the thing, as long as they're available, use them, okay? Instagram has 30 that you can use all 30. But you have to be very strategic with those. So I'm going to primarily focus on hashtags because that's how you get your content to reach people organically. But I'm also going to talk about how you can use hashtags to find your ideal clients so you can do some engagement activities, which is going to be more lead based. So with hashtags, using all 30, you want to try and find hashtags that are being used anywhere between 10,000 and 500,000 uses on Instagram. And how you find this is you open up the Instagram app on your phone. If you're watching on your computer and you've got your phone, do this with us, class participation. But open up your Instagram app, go to the magnifying button, which is your Discover tab, type in hashtag online business coach for women. I don't know. It's just what came to my head. I used that hashtag in a blog recently, actually, about this. But type that in. It's going to tell you a number. It's probably like 480K at this point. That's a good hashtag amount. That number, 480K, tells you how many times that hashtag has been used on Instagram. The reason you don't want to go over 500,000 is because your content, you'll see on that Discover page where you're looking at the hashtags, it'll say top posts and recent posts. If you click on the recent post, typically anything 500,000, million, 2 million uses, that recent tab, you're going to see a piece of content is dropping every single second with that hashtag. But that 10,000 to 500,000 range, it could be minutes, it could be days before there's another post. So your content just has a longer shelf life on that hashtag, which is key. Okay.
And I love that. I've heard a lot of people talk about being conscious about the size of your hashtags, but I never heard anyone until now break it down and explain that it's the size of the hashtag impacts the shelf life of your content.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Because if it lives there longer, it has a longer opportunity for, if someone's searching specifically for that hashtag, to see your content. You know, you can follow hashtags actually. I follow hashtag entrepreneur mindset because there's always like really good like entrepreneurial quotes and like shareable content. So it shows up in my newsfeed organically. But yeah, it's very important to the shelf life, because every bit of content that you put out, especially on Instagram, because the way that our Instagram profiles are set up with our feeds, when someone comes to our profile, it's evergreen. This content's so much more evergreen than content on Facebook, because your Facebook business page, if someone wants to see a post you made 10 posts ago, I mean, they got to scroll and scroll. But on Instagram, it's right there in your feed. That's why sometimes you see a new follower will like your most recent post, and then they like all of your posts past that for like the next 10 posts. It's bingeable, organic, evergreen content. So strategy with hashtags.
Really nice. It makes so much more people in a very small space.
Small space. Instagram, they know what they're doing. I just feel like they just know what they're doing. But so that's the strategy for, hashtags that range 10K to 500K. The other thing is just make sure your hashtags are relevant to your business, the topic that you've written about, your ideal client. I could use it as an example here. Adrienne, you have this beautiful background, right? And you've got flowers and you've got a bookshelf. If she was to take a picture and make that her picture on her Instagram post and use hashtag bookshelf, hashtag flowers, just because it's in the picture, that's not relevant, right? But people do that. Like, people will hashtag irrelevant hashtags to their post because they're trying to cross-reference. Just so you know, Instagram does not like that. If it is irrelevant, they have a way of seeing, like, you can get hashtags banned because misuse of them. It's very much like Pinterest now. I don't know if anyone's a Pinterest user, but if you click on a pin and you expect to go to a website that's going to show you this awesome chili recipe, but it takes you to some ad for some cleaning product, that pin will get banned. Same thing with Google results. So Instagram has the same thing set up where if it's not relevant or it's not what people are expecting to see, like hashtag beauty blogger is a hashtag that gets people's content banned because it gets misused a lot. So anyways,
that's crazy,
right? So crazy. So there you go on hashtags for organic content. Now, hashtags for lead generation. Use hashtags and hashtags that people are using, again, by using the search button. So for me, I do social media marketing services for local small businesses. I love to use the hashtag support local business or specific cities. I'll say hashtag small business Olathe, which is the city I live in, or hashtag support Kansas City small business. And I can find businesses that are using that hashtag. And now I can follow them and I can start to engage with their content, meaning I'm going to go like their post. I'm going to provide meaningful feedback on their posts, not just like a heart emoji, love this, like I'm actually going to engage with their content. What that does is that starts to get whoever that social media manager is for that company or the business owner, they're going to start to see my name, and it's going to create familiarity with me. Who's this Danielle Bridge CD lady, right? She's liking my stuff. She's liking, she's talking to me in the stories or whatever. So when I do an outreach message and I DM them to introduce myself and ask them if I can get to know their business a little bit better, and I love supporting local small businesses, it's not a cold message in regards to, I haven't even followed you. I have done nothing to help promote your social media page, because engagement of other people's accounts is like you scratching their back. Mm-hmm. I'm building rapport with them before I ever even reach out to them, right? And so it's that relationship, that nurturing. And you use hashtags to find those people.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you can use them to help people find you, but you can use them to also find your ideal client.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win on both sides of the coin.
Say you're a health coach, right? And you want to target people who are wanting to improve their lifestyle. Maybe it's a weight loss journey somebody wants to be on. Go follow the hashtag my weight loss journey, and you're going to find, people who could be your prospective clients. Engage with their stuff, right?
Yeah.
You also have an opportunity there to see what type of content is being created around that, or things that people are sharing. So maybe you can get ideas of content to create. What's the problems that people are talking about? Then you can create a solution for that. Hashtags are a really cool way to research for your ideal client, for ideas, and so many other things to grow your company.
Oh, that's so helpful. So now we have a solid content strategy. We know who we're speaking to. We know how to find them, by using the right hashtags. We know how to show up in all the different places across Instagram if we choose because of that smart content strategy. And we know how to use hashtags to help them find us so that as we start interacting with them and showing that we care, they start to see our name over and over and over. So by the time a message gets sent, they're actually going to read it.
Yeah.
Magic. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I
Super
love it.
simple, you guys. And it's a super simple daily method of operations you can go through what Danielle took us through today. So how helpful is that? So much for sharing your time and expertise with us. I'm really motivated to go and kind of make sure that I'm making the most of my Instagram now. I think whether people are brand new to it and they're just now getting into it, or whether they're just wanting to take it to next level, we have some super actionable tips here. So thank you so much for your time.
Yep. It's been wonderful. Best of luck to all of you and your businesses. And thanks again for having me.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Impactful Entrepreneur Show. If you found amazing value here, like, subscribe, and leave us a review to help other people find the high value content that we share, and find us on social media so we can continue the conversation. See you in the next episode. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Impactful Entrepreneur Show. If you found amazing value here, like, subscribe, and leave us a review to help other people find the high value content that we share, and find us on social media so we can continue the conversation. See you in the next episode.